So I'm sure by now you actually saw the post that Britney made calling out her mum directly for everything she's gone through. And this post was actually deleted after she made it fairly quickly, and I just haven't had a time with not feeling too well and stuff to get around to actually making a video about it. So let's get into it. Most of us know by now that she's been in a 13-year-long conservatorship, which she's so close to getting out of, and the 12th of November will be hopefully when it gets terminated. And just quickly, I'm trying to hit 2k subs by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much. Okay, back to the video. But until now, the majority of us have kind of wondered why Lynns Spears, Britney's mum, has had nothing to say other than just kind of stand by the sidelines and watch Britney speak out, call for basically her whole family to be sued, which she said directly in the 23-minute court hearing back in June. But most of us have actually kind of got the impression, primarily from Britney herself and everything we know from the media and how Jamie is the one who actually is in the position of conservator. We've all thought that, especially since Rosengart is going after Jamie directly, that it was all down to him. But after Britney herself spoke out in this post, it's pretty clear that Lynn had much more to do with it than most of us first thought, or at least we had confirmation of. And not only did Britney actually call out her mum directly in this, but she also specifically named Lou Taylor, which is kind of insane considering how much Lou Taylor has done to try and keep her name out of this whole entire ordeal. She's been DMCAing people not just on their own websites or even just on YouTube, but actually on Twitter as well. So anyone who mentions anything to do with her and her involvement, primarily from the beginning where she started speaking out saying that she was the spokesperson for all the Spears family, from then on she has literally done anything and everything involving all the courts and charging Britney for it as well, actually billing Britney for her kind of PR cleanups, all to keep her name out of this so that she could keep on getting clients and keep on making money without having to be held accountable for the way that she basically forced Britney into this conservatorship, or maybe more so as it's coming out now, that she worked with Lynn to orchestrate this whole conservatorship in the aims of being able to financially extract all monetary gain that she could, whilst Britney had no control over not only her finances but herself. And so in this post that we're about to look at, considering Britney like full on dragged her mum in this, it's pretty insane to see her being so direct and open about it all. In the post, Britney said, "The moment I smile and I realise I haven't in a very long time, my mum gets so concerned and says, 'You're acting weird, what's wrong with you?' I say, 'Hi, my name is Britney Spears, nice to finally meet you. Before I go any further, forgive me in advance, it's been 13 years and I'm a little rusty. It was a family business before, it's no longer that anymore. I was born today because I get to smile, so thank you for exiting out of my life and finally allowing me to live mine.' Psst. Do I know how mean I sound? Yes, I 1,000,000,000% I do. Psst. My dad may have started the conservatorship 13 years ago, but what people don't know is that my mum is the one who gave him the idea. I will never get those years back. She secretly ruined my life, and yes, I will call her and Lou Taylor out on it. So take your whole 'I have no idea what's going on' attitude and go F yourself. You know exactly what you did. My dad is not smart enough to ever think of a conservatorship, but tonight I will smile knowing I have a new life ahead of me," which Britney actually swiftly deleted after posting. So that's all like such a lot to digest, because she goes from directly calling out how her mum doesn't seem to understand her as soon as she's acting like a bit quote unquote quirky, which reminds me of how Lynn described how they got Britney into Psssss rehab, where she was saying that Britney was walking around frantically, and it's probably just, I don't know, she was freaking stressed because everyone was on her case 24/7, and Lynn didn't seem to get that it was just Britney being a bit quirky or just trying to deal with everything that's going on. And the fact that Britney feels like she even has to kind of acknowledge that yes, she's being a bit mean, when I don't think anyone who understands her situation for what it is would say that she's being mean. She's just defending herself and calling out the people who've abused her for so long. And then she goes on to say that it was a family business before, and that again reminds me of how her brother Brian said that it was a family decision to get Britney into rehab at the time, and they did act like it was a family business decision, and it's like they didn't treat Britney as a person. It was all about a business and her being the cash cow to make them all money. And then she went to call out how her dad's stupid and how there is no way in hell that he could have come up with this idea by himself. And it does make me wonder whether he is just the fall guy for all of this, because in one of Lynn's older interviews she did say that she didn't want to be the conservator of Britney because it was easier for Britney to hate her father rather than her. And even Britney knows that by saying, yes, I will call her and Lou Taylor out on it, she knows that it's a bit of a dangerous game that you're playing when you're wanting to call out Lou Taylor publicly. But considering it's Britney, maybe, and considering she deleted it, I don't think Lou Taylor can do much about it, to be honest. And she also goes on to say that you can take your whole "I have no idea what's going on" attitude and go F yourself. It kind of says to me that Lynn is again playing the victim and is now trying to seem, at least in the media, that she is the saviour. She's coming in to rescue Britney from the clasps of her father and be the white knight that Britney always needed and deserved. And everyone's like, well, if you're doing that now, why didn't you do this 13 years ago? It's a bit convenient that you're coming in now trying to present yourself as this angel sent down from heaven. And I think Britney's fed up of seeing that portrayed in the media and is saying, like, you can go take that attitude and F yourself. And not only did Britney post that, but she posted this: "The most dangerous animal in the world is a silent, smiling woman." And I think that just speaks volumes, and it kind of led me to think of this picture, which a lot of people have been comparing to Rapunzel and her very overbearing and controlling mother, which I think is just like a perfect representation of what's going on. And I think up until now, most of us thought that Britney was on good terms with her mum, and maybe a lot of us had actually forgotten the moment where Britney went up to the Zoe 101 set where Jamie Lynn was filming her Nickelodeon show at the time to actually serve her mum with a cease and desist because they were going through so much, I suppose, like arguments and just disagreements with how Britney was handling her fame at the time. And I think Lynn was just being, again, an overbearing parent and didn't understand Britney.
Well, I'm holding the video camera.
Lynn, how you doing? Why is it that Britney served you?
A love letter.
A love letter? What did the love letter say?
If you call this a serving, you know?
Yeah? Why are the rumors then? Why are they saying that she's going to serve you and there's problems between you guys?
Always rumors.
There's always rumors, huh?
And it's always rumors of rumors.
Well, let's clear them up. I mean,
she did not serve me.
She did not serve you?
She did not.
Okay. Good to know. X17 online. Thank you.
So as you can see, Lynn tried to play it off as a love letter, and the paparazzi just kind of followed her around for the day to see what she was doing. And it's pretty clear to me, at least on this bit, that she was actually driving on the phone. So I don't know whether she realised that being followed around by paparazzi whilst being illegally on the phone and driving at the same time could potentially get you in some trouble, but she didn't seem too bothered. She was probably on the phone to the lawyers trying to sort out what the hell Britney had just served her with. And the paparazzi tried to also ask Jamie Lynn of how things were going, but she didn't really have much to say.
How you doing, Jamie Lynn? Can I ask you a question? How are things with your mom and your sister? I mean, there's a lot of rumor of them having problems with each other. Do you think the letter she gave your mom today, your sister, is going to help between them?
Bye guys, y'all have a good day.
Oh, you too. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
So I think a lot of people maybe didn't realise, or at least had forgotten, that Britney always hasn't had a sweet relationship with her mum. There has been times where they've gone through things as extreme as having to serve your own mum a cease and desist. And this, I think, was going down in 2007, so it was through the time where Britney was really struggling and needed more people on her side rather than against her. And everyone was just doing everything they could to try and control it and rein her in, which I think led to probably Britney wanting to just rebel against them and pushing them even further away. Like in this, where she had to eventually serve them a cease and desist. And I think probably Britney just got really fed up of people praising her mum for stepping in and fighting on her behalf against Jamie, when there has been times when her mum has been just as bad, if not worse, because she's also been just as controlling and trying to control every aspect of Britney's life, which, again, as I've just mentioned, led to Britney having to serve her a cease and desist. So I think this was one of the reasons that she actually felt like she had to name and shame her publicly to actually get people to realise what was going on. And in this article from earlier in the year, it was said that Jamie unconditionally loves and supports his daughter, full stop, and he has done for her entire life. Jamie will do everything he can to protect and care for her. And this is coming from Jamie's lawyers at the time. And this all happened after Britney had gave her testimony in June to the courts. And in response to Jamie saying that he would open to the idea of stepping down, Lynn was reported to have said that she was pleased about her ex-husband's decision, amid the singer's ongoing battle to end her legal guardianship. And I think what a lot of us have also forgotten is that 3 years ago, Lynn actually entered into the conservatorship to protect her daughter, and she has accomplished what she set out to do. She will have no further comment, according to her attorney. And this is actually referencing back to 2018 when Lynn petitioned to have more involvement and say in Britney's conservatorship.
Mr. Spears. Britney's dad was tight-lipped as he left court.
Britney has gone through a lot.
Deborah interviewed Lynns Spears in 2008.
What's the biggest misconception about you?
I'm a stage mom.
Pulling the strings, the puppeteer.
The misconception is the one that I have pushed and pulled and, brought my children here.
Britney recently spent 3 weeks in a mental health facility, leading to the Free Britney movement and concern among her fans that she was being held against her will. Even singer Miley Cyrus joined the battle cry. Over the weekend, Britney posted video of herself doing yoga, a well-known technique for dealing with stress. But despite the impression she's at peace, today's legal moves are signaling lots of drama behind the scenes.
And I'm sure you remember, but it was really interesting when the majority of Jamie Spears' court documents that he was filing in order to remain as conservator of Britney, the majority of it was just going on to attack Lynn, saying that she had little, if any, involvement in the conservatorship, let alone Britney's life, for the last 13 years. He says her credibility is undermined because Britney herself refused to even see Lynn when she was at the mental health facility back in 2019. And that was when we think that she was forced primarily by both her mum and her team at the time. And this short clip I'm about to play is Lynn talking on an interview about how she made Britney go to rehab back in the original first time she went, which I think was between 2007 and 2008. And presumably she acted again on these same feelings and beliefs that she held.
I felt freaked out for you. What were you feeling when you saw that?
Broken. Just broken.
Why did you send her to Promises, that rehab center?
Well, I just felt like she needed to sort her life out. Sometimes, if you, like I said, don't run from your problems, you need to stop. You need to stop what you're doing and think.
What was she doing? Was she doing drugs and alcohol, do you think?
I don't know.
Did it help?
I think it put a band-aid on the problem.
So again, I think this is clear that there was definitely some tension between the two, and Britney was just fed up of seeing her mum being praised as this angelical figure who'd come and saved her.
Can I get a little kiss for the camera? So how's your mom? You think everything's gonna be okay with her?
I'm praying for her right now. I
Are
hope
ya?
she gets all the help she needs. And
Do you think she needs to go to rehab?
I don't know. I'm very concerned.
Are you going to try and make up with her? Or?
You know what? In time, who knows what'll happen?
Really? Are you going to go to
help her out?
Kenwood?
Huh?
Are you going to go to Kenwood?
Where I'm from?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it here.
Brittany, can I give you this?
I love you guys.
Can I give you this?
Love you too, Brittany. Thank you.
Brittany. Hey, beautiful.
And that clip was taken directly after Britney had just served her mum and said that she was praying for her mum, and considering how important religion is to Britney, that shows that she really felt her mum needed to get some help and they weren't on good terms at all.
Okay, everything's cool.
Great.
Fantastic. Guys, say hi to your buddies at X17.
You love X17?
And these were some of the reports coming out at the time when it was noticed that Britney had served her mum. Reports were talking about how the singer's bodyguards had asked some of the photographers who camp outside Britney's Beverly Hills house if they knew the whereabouts of Lynn Spears, when the shutterbug said that the elder Spears was hollered up nearly an hour away At a TV studio in Valencia, the singer grabbed her two kids, Sean Preston, 21 months, and Jaden James, 9 months, and hit the road in her Mercedes. With security men in a pair of SUVs flanking her, Spears arrived at the set of the kiddie show Zoe 101, on which her little sister Jamie Lynn Spears co-stars. Spears, wearing a tank top and denim shorts, then handed Lynn, 52, a picture frame and a set of papers, including a lawyer's letter warning her to stay away from her grandkids if she's on any medication that might cause her to be impaired. And another article at the Times said that there may be a connection between this heart-wrenching moment of mother-daughter strife and yet another insurrectable message posted to the singer's website earlier this year, because back in the day Britney used to have a website where she used to post her updates to, and the post allegedly said that mother to granddaughter and my, you're grand. Whatever the implications of that mysterious phrase, a condemnation, a new entry in her album naming contest, a sneak preview of her multi-generational maternity wear line, we can only hope that the once tight-knit family will soon resolve their differences, even if it requires Jamie Lynn barricading the two steel magnolias inside her Zoe 101 trailer to hash things out through some old-fashioned bottle hurling and tears. So basically they were just speculating whether Britney, as she's doing now on her Instagram, was kind of calling out her mum at the time on her own website. And this next clip I'm about to play is really upsetting because in her early years Britney obviously wasn't able to be around her mum that much because she was travelling and doing all of her concert tours, and this clip just shows how much she loved her mum at the time. So for her mum to leave her and, as Britney said, ruin her life, I think I can only imagine how much it hurts her.
Do more amazing albums, win an Oscar, everything.
Really? You want to do that much acting?
Yeah.
That you could, how much do you want to transfer from the music world to the movie world?
I'd like to do it all, you know. I'd like to go back and forth, do everything.
Is there anything that you would want to do over? You've got so many proud moments. Anything that you could go back and...
No. Mm-mm.
Everything you would keep the same?
Yeah.
Why? Because you, even if there's things that you say, which you've said many times, that there are certain things that you wish you hadn't done.
Well, I think that there's some things that you wish you hadn't done, but I think you learn from those things, and you just kind of, I mean, I wouldn't be the person that I am today, and I wouldn't, you know, I think hardships sometimes are good for people.
How do you feel like you have grown up and everything that you've had to experience, and your life being in such a fishbowl? How do you think that you've grown up in the past few years?
I think just, you know, my dedication and going through things, sometimes hardships in the public eye, it kind of makes you a little bit more wake up and be aware and just kind of, I don't know, it makes you want to be a better person for other people and just like even the fans out there. And, you know, that's inspiration for me. Like it just, I don't know. And I think just growing up and having a major support system around me has made me like, it's amazing. It's very cool.
How does your mom, I just love seeing you with your mom so much and holding hands in magazines and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
How does your mom, when she knows that you're going through some things and you know, the things that you've talked about that have been tough, which I think you've handled very well, but how does she play as far as the support?
She's amazing. She is awesome.
Thanks, Mom, huh? Yeah. Okay, this is the toughest question I'm going to ask you, but everybody does want to know the answer to it. Ben or Brad? Because you know what? You told me, Ben.
I did?
Like you got emotional about your mom.
I did. Ew. That's stupid.
No, it's not. My mom is here, and I would be doing the same thing. Because my mom gets me through everything, too, so you can just make me cry with you. She's a good one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Special. She got a good daughter.
Yep.
She got a good daughter.
Yeah.
And again, this next clip is showing how close at least they were in Britney's younger years, and I think the reason it probably hurts so much more now, knowing how her mum ruined her life because they were so close when they were younger.
Write a book that takes on the challenges every mother and daughter face. It is called Britney Spears, Heart to Heart. Welcome back, Britney and Lynn. You two, obviously from the book, it's clear that you have a wonderful relationship. And I was saying, Lynn, to you back there, that having a little girl, I worry, particularly when the teen years come, that there's going to be a lot of rebellion. What's been the key to the relationship that you have, the success of it?
Just trust, probably.
Trust?
Trust and keeping the lines of communication open. And always being ready to listen
And
I tell her everything. She's just like so easy to talk to. Seriously, she's like my best friend, you know, so that's really important.
You two are together a lot when you're on the road, right?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
well, at one point, we were never apart. I mean, we were always together.
Then you must have gotten on each other's nerves, right? There had to be a...
No, actually, we didn't. I mean, it was like, she was like an appendage almost.
Seriously, when I was younger, I would, the type of kid, I like to go away, but I would cry. I would miss my mom. Like, when I'm not just saying that seriously, I would cry and miss my mom, and I'd want to come home. It's just like, we've had like this unbelievable bond, seriously. That's cool, though.
It's wonderful.
Brittany, you just did Saturday Night Live, and you did a great job on the show.
Thank you so much.
And you spoofed a lot of the rumors about you. I know that people have been very critical of you, whether it's about your music or the way you dress, and people say that you've kind of blurred the line between between like childhood and kind of adulthood. How do you respond to a lot of those criticisms?
Well, really, at first, it was kind of hard for me, I have to say, because just as a teenager, like when you're in school and people are talking about you, you get really offended, you know what I mean? Because you're just really, you're at that age and you have insecurities, and like the whole world was talking about me. But just this past year, I've gotten, you know, it totally doesn't bother me anymore, you know what I mean? I've learned that it doesn't matter what other people think, as long as you know in your heart, you know what I mean? That's all that matters.
But it's got to be hard to hear the criticism, and I know, Lynn, as a mom, you've been criticized too, you know, like, why do you let her go out looking like that sometimes? How have you dealt with it, and what advice have you given Britney about her appearance?
Well, and what people don't understand is that Britney doesn't go out looking like that. I mean, when she goes to some party, or if it's the Grammy Award or whatever, that's where you dress up.
Being a girl,
that's
being
a
dressed
costume.
Up,
that is glamour. You know, and she doesn't reveal anything. So, I mean, I think it's kind of an unfair criticism.
I guess what Meredith means is, I mean, often you see that with women who are older, and I think it was just kind of a shock sometimes to see some of the revealing outfits on someone as young as you are. By the way, you look beautiful in them.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I'm just comfortable in my skin, you know what I mean? And I've always kind of been told I was an old soul anyway, so I just don't see it, you know what I mean? I don't know, I feel comfortable, and that's all that matters, I think, you know?
Why did the two of you want to write the book?
Really, I thought it would be cool for fans out there to see how close we are and how important it is to have a relationship with your mom. And it's kind of, if you read it, it's kind of like a self-help in a way, you know, just explaining to teenagers, you know, just being true to yourself and not caring what other people think. And, you know, you're an individual and you're unique because you're just you and you're different, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter about what you wear or what it is on the outside, you know, it's what's on the inside that matters.
And then you read a lot about how there was a time where you were struggling to really make ends meet, and you saved all the money you could to get singing lessons for Britney. How did you manage to do all of that?
It was really hard. A lot of times we would rob from Peter to pay Paul. You know, it was really hard. And so a lot of times what we would do is you know, like friends would help us at times, and
so it's just
we just did
really
without
small
a
town
lot.
in New York. It's just like, you know, it's expensive just to up and get a flight to New York and, you know, stuff like that.
Well, it paid off, because look at you now. It's congratulations to you, and thank you, Lynn, for joining us. Thanks to Britney and her mother, Lynn. The book.
So for Lynn to be coming out now saying things like this in her statement to the court, that Jamie is incapable of putting Britney's interests ahead of his own, kind of presents herself again to be this angelic figure that's coming in now and saving Britney. And I think Britney just couldn't stand that, because again in Lynn's statement it said that Jamie's behaviour included things such as complete control over Britney and his mistrust of her, his coercion of her, his bartering with her over what she can and cannot do for whatever reward or punishment he is willing to mete out, his constant threats and his decision making over all aspects of her life is what drove Lynn presumably to make this filing, and attorneys for Jamie did not immediately respond to this request for comment. But his lawyer, Vivian Lee Therine, said that he was sorry to see his daughter in so much pain and that he loves his daughter and misses her very much. And reporters Ronan Farrow and Gia Tolentino wrote that in a call with Lynn, she spoke in a whisper and apologised that she might have to hang up abruptly if other members walked in on her and discovered her speaking to a reporter. I got mixed feelings about everything, Lynn told them. I don't know what to think. It's a lot of pain, a lot of worry. Her new statement written on June 2020 was much more direct, because that interview I think was from a few years back. Lynn went on to say, I became involved in this conservatorship during what I will term a time of crisis that began at the end of 2018 and continued into 2019. She added, I wanted to ensure that everything in my daughter's life was handled in the best interest of my daughter, the conservatee, which I did not believe at the time and still not do today to be the case. So it's now convenient for you to come in and step in. What about all of the other years in between 2008 up until 2018. You didn't do anything to try and stop her from being put in this conservatorship in the first place, and this article goes on to explain that Britney was being treated by a sports enhancement doctor hired by Mr. Spears. The doctor in question was a psychiatrist who was prescribing what I and many others thought to be entirely inappropriate medicine to my daughter, who did not want to take the medicine. I witnessed my daughter be compelled by that doctor, with the knowledge and the encouragement of Mr. Spears, to enter a health facility that she did not want to enter, where she was threatened with punishment if she did not stay for a medical treatment that she did not want to endure. So here we have Lynn directly acknowledging that Britney didn't want to go into this medical facility for treatment, and yet still she did nothing to stop her. Whether she could, I don't know, so maybe that's unfair for me to question whether she could. But considering Britney's latest post, it's fair to assume at least that she didn't do much. Lynn also spoke of how Mr. Spears has relied on members of the Conservatives' household staff, medical aides on site at the Conservatives' home, and her own security detail to inform on and report back to him each and every detail of every action that she makes in place at the Conservatives' home and her life. Such scrutiny is exhausting and terrifying, like living in custody. And again, we know things from like how Britney had her phone taken away from her by people such as her cleaning lady, who basically snitched on Britney to her dad, how Britney had her dog taken away from her from the woman who was meant to be taking Britney's dog to the vet and then bringing her back, but Jamie had instructed her to take the dog away permanently. And of course all of these black box allegations, and this report that Lynn gave actually was before the documentary came out that exposed all of that. So she obviously knew that stuff was going on because, as I just said, it wasn't public knowledge at the time that she actually came out and made these statements. She also went on to say that of the actions that solidified the failure of my daughter's and Mr. Spears' relationship, the physical altercation between Mr. Spears and the Conservatives' minor grandchild, my grandchildren, was perhaps the most appalling and inexcusable, and understandably destroyed whatever was left of their relationship between them. And from everything I've seen, I think this was the final straw for Lynn. I think this kind of woke her up and shook her into action to try and get Britney out of what seemed to be now a dangerous circumstance. And what I think a lot of people have also forgotten is that there was this huge orchestrated event for them to reunite after Britney served her mum, and this article goes on to explain it. There was very few articles actually on it, but sources say Lynn and Britney's younger sister Jamie Lynn flew from Kentwood, LA to Los Angeles Friday evening. On arrival at LAX, the two were mobbed by photographers. Jamie Lynn, wearing eyeglasses, kept her head low, later covered by the hood of a sweatshirt. Despite the attention, the woman made a quiet exit from the terminal, declining to comment or acknowledge the group. And these were actually the staged photos that were then dealt out to the press to kind of present this whole narrative that the Spears family was reunited. And it is a bit weird that they were, sitting on the outside of Britney's house on the road, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't seem natural. And the article said, but just a few months ago, this scene would have been unimaginable. Back then, Britney was estranged from her mother Lynn and her younger sister Jamie Lynn, but there was no hint of the horrors of the past year as the teen idol celebrated her two sons' birthday yesterday with a family reunion. She spent a relaxed day with her mother Lynn, father Jamie, 17-year-old Jamie Lynn, and her 3-month-old daughter Maddie Bryan. Looking at the family portrait, it seems incredible to think that in June last year, the 26-year-old served her mother with a restraining order to stop her having any contact with her grandsons. And again, what many people don't realise is this whole thing was orchestrated by the one and only Sam Lutfi. As you can see in these texts, he even went on to say, what on earth is more important than being here with your daughter, when he was messaging Lynn, trying to convince her to come and see Britney and resolve everything that was going on between them. And Sam went on to say that, you know how this works, Lynn. You keep lying to her, you keep telling her dad everything. She's asked you repeatedly to stop that, and you can't just help yourself. So that's Sam Lutfi kind of opening shade on Lynn, showing that despite what Lynn's now saying in the course that everyone's reporting to Jamie all the time, she did that before, and that is another reason why Britney can't trust her mum. And I find it so funny at the bottom of this that Lynn Spears said, she punched me in the face. And I think that was actually because Britney was just getting fed up with all these promo magazines promoting Lynn at the front of Kevin's house. And I think Britney thought, and presumably rightly so, that Lynn was actually flirting with Kevin. And there's all these rumours going around that that's how Britney felt. So I think Britney probably just had enough. And I mean rightly so. Imagine being blocked from seeing your children, yet your mum was going around parading and doing all of these photo shoots with your ex-husband, parading around the kids that you can't see, all for money that you should be entitled to, but they're getting it off your own back whilst you're suffering. And in this part of the text conversation between Sam and Lynn, Sam directly says, "We can all stay at the Malibu house. I'll take pictures of you and her hugging it out and I'll let her hand them to the press. Will this make you happy?" So he's directly calling out Lynn on her shit, saying, well, if you just want all of this nonsense with the press to stop, I'll take the pictures and I'll make sure they get delivered to the press. So as you can see, Lynn was much more concerned with her image in the press rather than how Britney was feeling and their relationship. But there's quite a lot to get into and look over in these texts, so I think it's probably worth a whole video in itself, so I'll save the rest till next time. Thank you so much if you've made it to the end, and let me know down in the comments below what you think. Is it shady and basically really questionable that Lynn is only now coming in and speaking out on Britney's behalf? And do you think that's why Britney's just had enough of this false narrative that the media's painted, that Lynn is like her saviour, and Britney just wanted to sweep that narrative right under the rug and let everyone know exactly how Lynn ruined her life, and didn't want everyone praising Lynn for now coming in? Because I think we're all questioning, and I have been for some time, where the hell is Lynn in all of this? Why is she allowing this to all go on and not on the scene, presumably trying to help Britney get out of it? It's just mind-blowing to me, and I think a lot of us as well. So let me know down in the comments below what you want to see in the next video, and I'm trying to hit 2k subs by the end of the year. I'm so close, so I can't tell you how much it would mean to me if you hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much. See you in the next one. Bye.
Say what you want to say to me now.